Under the dim glow of flickering streetlights, a young Filipino boy walked through the crowded streets, a small basket of snacks clutched tightly in his hands. His bare feet padded against the rough pavement, each step marked with both weariness and determination. The city was alive with noise, cars honking, vendors calling out, laughter spilling from restaurants, but for him, the night was just another battle for survival. Every coin he earned held weight, not for toys or treats, but for the fragile life of his sick mother waiting at home. He moved from person to person, offering his snacks with a polite smile that hid his exhaustion. Some people brushed past him as if he were invisible, their eyes fixed on their own lives. Others glanced briefly, offering a kind smile but no purchase. Occasionally, someone would drop a coin into his hand, a small act that meant a little food or medicine. Though his stomach growled with hunger, he ignored it, focusing instead on the responsibility far greater than himself. In his young face lived the innocence of a child, yet in his eyes burned the resilience of someone far older, someone forced to carry burdens too heavy for his age. Each rejection stung, but he pressed on, fueled by love, by duty, by hope that somehow tomorrow might be kinder. In that sea of indifference, his quiet struggle told a story not of defeat, but of courage rising from hardship. The boy's day stretched endlessly, and as the sun dipped low, he watched other children chasing one another, their laughter echoing like music he longed to join. Some clutched ice cream cones, their faces sticky with sweetness, while others carried toys in their hands, gifts of carefree childhood. He stood still for a moment, his basket lighter now, but instead of joy, a pang of hunger twisted in his belly. He could have spared a few coins to buy himself a small treat, but his thoughts quickly turned to his mother. With careful steps, he approached a food stall, his tiny hands trembling as he handed over almost all he had earned. The vendor gave him a small meal wrapped in paper. He held it close, inhaling the warm scent, but not a single bite passed his lips. That food was not for him. It was for the woman who lay on a thin mat at home, her strength fading, her smile weaker each day. As he walked back, he felt his hunger intensify, but he pushed it aside with silent resolve. The glow of shop windows and the sound of laughter only reminded him of what he could not have. Yet in his sacrifice, there was no bitterness, only love. He was just a boy, but in those moments, he carried the heart of someone much older. His empty stomach was a small price to pay if it meant seeing his mother eat, if it meant giving her one more reason to hold on. That night, as the boy made his way home with the small meal clutched to his chest, a gentle drizzle began to fall. The streets thinned, and neon lights reflected on the wet pavement. Passing under an awning, he noticed another child huddled in the corner, shivering from the cold, eyes hollow with hunger. Without hesitation, the boy knelt and offered a piece of the food he had bought for his mother. The other child looked up in disbelief, then accepted it with trembling hands, whispering a faint "thank you." From a short distance away, a man had been watching. He had seen the boy selling snacks earlier, noticed his thin frame, and now witnessed this moment of selflessness. His heart tightened at the sight, a child who had so little, yet gave away what he could not afford to lose. Quietly, the man followed as the boy continued down narrow alleys until he reached a small, dimly lit home. Through the doorway, the man caught a glimpse of the boy's mother, lying weakly on a mat, her face pale but her eyes lighting up when her son entered. The boy carefully placed the meal beside her, urging her to eat while he sat close, his own hunger hidden behind a gentle smile. The man felt tears rise. In that fragile home, he had witnessed something extraordinary, love that endured suffering, and a child sacrifice that spoke louder than any words. It was a moment that would change not just the boy's life, but his own as well. The man walked away that night with a heavy heart, but the image of the boy's quiet sacrifice refused to leave his mind. By morning, he had decided to act. With a trembling voice, he shared the boy's story online, describing the barefoot child selling snacks, the kindness he had shown to another hungry child, and the frail mother waiting at home. What began as a single post quickly spread like wildfire. Thousands of strangers, touched by the story, reached out. Some offered money, others food, and many sent prayers and words of encouragement. Within days, donations poured in. Volunteers arrived at the boy's home with groceries, medicine, and doctors willing to treat his mother for free. For the first time in months, the small house filled with laughter instead of worry. The boy's eyes, once dulled by exhaustion, now gleamed with hope as he watched his mother slowly regain her strength. One evening, as his mother sat up and smiled weakly, he felt a warmth he hadn't known in so long, a glimpse of the life he had almost forgotten was possible. Neighbors who once passed him by now came to help, inspired by the story that had touched their hearts. What had started as one man's compassion had grown into a wave of kindness, lifting the boy and his mother out of despair. For the first time, the burden he carried alone began to lighten, replaced by a new belief, that even in darkness, the world still held light. The days that followed felt like a new beginning. With his mother's health slowly improving and his home no longer empty of food, the boy experienced something he had only dreamed of, peace. For the first time, he walked to school instead of the busy streets, carrying books instead of a basket of snacks. His small hands, once worn from work, now turned the pages of lessons that promised him a brighter future. Though life was still simple, his heart was full. He often thought about the kindness of strangers, people who had never met him yet cared enough to change his story. That memory stayed with him, shaping his dreams. When teachers asked what he wanted to be, he no longer hesitated. A doctor, he would say with quiet confidence, so I can help children like me, and mothers like mine. Sometimes, he would pause and reflect on the nights he had gone hungry, the rejections he endured, and the sacrifices he made. Those moments had been painful, but they also built the strength that carried him here. And though the world had once seemed indifferent, he now understood something greater, that a single act of kindness can ripple outward, transforming not just one life, but many. His journey was far from over, but it was no longer a story of pain alone, it had become a story of hope, love, and inspiration. And for everyone who heard it, the message was clear, even the smallest light can break through the deepest darkness.